High five to the audience. How are you today? My name is Maria Luna. I am the CEO and co-founder of Bravo. And for a few minutes, I'm going to explore the current adoption of cryptocurrency payments and also what are the challenges of bringing crypto mainstream. If you notice an accent, tell the guys in the back to adjust the microphone, but I am from Puerto Rico. Can somebody? Okay, so when we talk about the challenges, there's not a single one that we can say, okay, this is the challenge of bringing crypto mainstream. There are many, but I think the community is too focused on a specific one, which is the famous or infamous stability issue. And because we talk a lot about it, I decided to talk about it a little bit first and then get into what I consider the real challenges. So as cryptocurrency markets mature and more people participate on them, the markets will smooth out. So it is a market that is forming and storming. And it makes me think of the early days of the internet. So the value of any currency or goods or services is not only dependent on its demand, but also, on its supply, but also on its demand. So if we are focusing on the stability issue, we could be missing a forest for a tree. And that is why my thesis is, let's focus on what are the factors that then will impact the stability. And for the purpose of this very brief discussion, I'm going to concentrate in the ability of crypto to facilitate day-to-day payments, but we know the scope is broader. So going back to my point of the internet, or the early days of the internet, in this chart, you will see the adoption curve, and you will also see the early browsers. Some nostalgia for some people here, right? The early browsers of the internet, and we see that as they evolved and the user experience improved, that's when a lot of people started to get in, and I'm going to show you the next graph, where we see that the crypto adoption, independent on which study you're looking at or which data, we're early on. The majority of the studies say that we're around 1%, and there's people like a study sponsored by Visa that said it's almost 0%, and there's a proposal that is at 3.5%. Regardless of what you think, we're all early. One of my favorite writers, his name is Ari Paul, he wrote for Forbes. It is 1994 in cryptocurrency. So that is where I'm standing. I don't know about you, but we all can agree on one thing. It's early. So when we look, and I'm a little bit of a nerd, and I like to plot data against different predictors and factors. And when I looked at the data of what happened and what were the years that the internet had the biggest growth rate, and I plot what happened in terms of platforms or proposals at the time. And obviously this is a little bit simplified because we're talking about global population. If you look at this by region and by country, it's even more interesting. But for the purpose of this discussion, what we can see is that it was those killer applications and platforms that brought three things into the market that made it grow. The first is utility, ease of use, and trust. It was when AOL started to send those discs, I received one, that people were entering the email system and their family members, okay, Maria is doing it, so let me do it. And that's what built trust, utility, and ease of use. And for those of you that will then write to me, that was not correct. Some of the companies that I'm plotting are plotted in the year that they grew the most, not necessarily the year that they launched. But those were the platforms that we identified and the three factors that I mentioned. Fun fact, just to break the ice a little bit too, that was the very first iPhone ad that I found when I was doing my research. But a couple of things. There have been a lot of progress. So I'm not saying that we're early on because there are not platforms out there that are amazing. I have a lot of respect for Abra, Coinbase, and many people that are putting into the system what is necessary to bring cryptocurrency payments mainstream. And I honor all of them. And there's a lot of work to do still, because like I mentioned before, until we have the adoption of people like you and me, my neighbor, and people that not necessarily love technology and don't even understand it to enter the space, we're not gonna have that eternal September that is famous in the internet industry. So let's talk about a little bit about trust, which was one of the three elements I mentioned: trust, ease of use, and utility. In terms of trust, there's companies and research centers like MIT and private companies like Bravo that we're going into not only understanding privacy, but at the same time compliance, and making sure that those do not necessarily fight. But privacy is a step forward, and blockchain is bringing into the space what we lost with the internet, which is our data, our privacy. And I think we can do great proposals if we just focus on the privacy issue. But it is not alone, and it is not the only thing. Then let's talk about utility. At Bravo, we created this platform that is already running in fiat. You can download it today. But what we are powering now is the ability to then run cryptocurrency payments on the app. And basically, I think as a community of creators and proposals out there, we're focusing too much into the investors, and we're focusing a lot into tech-savvy people. And until we find more and more killer platforms and proposals that are focusing on the end user, is not when we're gonna see that big growth. And that's where we are concentrated on. And then finally, ease of use. Ease of use, ideally a platform, you would just download it and it already is working for you, but there's a few steps. So onboarding, the ease of onboarding into the space of crypto, it's improving, but I think there's a lot to advance. And in terms of ease of use, there are other factors, but one of the most important ones is, yes, I want it easy, but I don't want to lose my tokens. So mixing all of those and building that platform is something that we are proud of. And we have been for almost 5 years developing it from the human-centric perspective. And that is something that is necessary, not developing it for the tech-savvy people or for the investors, because the investors will come if you have end users. And finally, this is in summary what I propose today. Let's forget about the scalability or stability, because those are going to be products of three important things: ease of use, utility, and trust. We're proud of what we're bringing to the market, a simple payment solution that allows you to find and pay anyone. And I'll be more than happy to answer questions. You can find me through my social links, and also our project, it's on the page bvo.trybravo.com. Thank you.